What? Bang!
Whoa! Wrestling Podcast. Just when they think they got the answers, I change the question.
Rep, screw, rep.
Yeah!
Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Dan? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Can he do it? Unbelievable!
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am Macho King Savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for...
It's me, Austin! I will never retire!
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. And hey, now you can find us on all the streaming platforms, Pandora, Spotify, you name it, we're there. YouTube, we're on everywhere. Check us out. Hey, people, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable. It's available through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation, all included, totally free. Check it out in Facebook right now. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in the shout-outs like my good buddy John down in Texas. John, always love giving you the shout-out. Don't forget we have loyalty rewards. You got to go over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast, and sign up today. If you are a $15 a month contributor, you get to host a live show with me. If you are a $7.50 a month contributor, you can also get entered into a drawing to co-host a live show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this show of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got questions, comments, something you want me to touch on in the future episode, the day's news, rumors, something you've heard on the internet or wherever, give us a call, give us a shout. Pro Wrestling Sound Off Line, 267-642-1160. We'll get to those conversations on a future episode. Today, we are reacting to the huge episode of Raw last night. Lots of things going on. I mean, obviously, we can't talk about Raw and not talk about the big return. Look, I'm sorry. I know ahead of Raw, everybody in the world had a feeling Goldberg was going to be there. I know a whole lot of people were saying how they were upset that Gunther won the World Heavyweight Championship just so he could have a match with Goldberg at Saturday Night's main event. I get it. I don't think you needed to put the championship on Gunther to have that match. I think that was where they went wrong. They should have left the championship on Jay. If you wanted to take the title off of Jay, it should not have gone to Gunther for this Goldberg match. The common theme with Goldberg is he shows up, gets a world championship match, disappears. Now, I get it. This is the retirement match, so he'll come back, get this last one, and disappear for good. And some people are happy about that. I'll be honest with you. When the guy walked out last night, he looks amazing. He looks as good now as he ever has. I don't necessarily want him to leave for good. Now, he might want to, and that's totally up to him. But the way this is being done, you took a championship reign off of Jey Uso, who you booked terribly in the last 51 days of his reign. Then you put it on Gunther to have a match with a guy who's retiring. So it should be blaringly obvious to everyone who wins that match. Let's think about it. Go down to the psychology of everything. John Cena is on his farewell tour as champion, and the whole thing is he ruins wrestling if he goes all year, never loses the belt, and retires as champion. So can you really see Goldberg in his retirement match winning the championship? And wouldn't he be also ruining wrestling, being the last world heavyweight champion if he leaves as champion? So it doesn't make sense. There is no possibility for Goldberg to win the match. That's a problem. With no championship on the line, there are a million things you could have done to have Goldberg win. His son's involvement, Ludwig Kaiser's involvement. There are some people calling for Kaiser to turn on Gunther and join Seth Rollins. I'm okay with that, but this is not the time for the championship to be in the picture. If you wanted to take the belt off of Jay, you should have had Seth cash in on Jay at night at Money in the Bank. They should not have gone to Gunther. The Gunther Goldberg thing It's counter-programming to AEW, and I'm okay with that. I understand the business aspect of it. As a fan, I hate it because I like to be able to see everything. But from a business standpoint, you don't want to leave all the eyes on one prize. You wanted to get some views on your stuff, keep the mainstream audience on WWE programming and not letting them go watch the AEW product. I get it. I understand all of that. But you did not need the World Heavyweight Championship to do that. They should have done that separate. It's not totally differently. Let's go down the rest of the card. If we have to, we'll get back to the Goldberg stuff. The show started with a whole Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio segment. It led to Io Sky coming out. I don't know why they're trying to shove Morgan back into the Women's Championship picture so fast when they have brought up so many talents from NXT. They've cultivated so many people on their roster organically. And you have people like Asuka returning. It seems like it's a little much. I don't need Liv Morgan in the Women's Championship picture right now. I think it clouds the division unless you don't have the faith in your other talents to carry the ball. Now, you've got Evolution coming up. Are you really going to tie Io Sky up with Liv Morgan? Are you going to have Io team with Nikki Bella? Are you going to bring back Brie like we talked about in the previous episode? If you do that and you have a women's tag team match, why would you put Liv into a world championship program right now with Io Sky? Why are we not building Io Sky to have a legitimate other opponent? All these questions are just float around in my brain because it does not make sense. Somebody make it make sense to me why we would rush Liv Morgan back into the Women's Championship picture. That being said, she calls her out. She wants a World Championship match. Hopefully, I pray to God we don't see that anytime soon. But it is what it is. I do love that Io got a little physical with Dominic Mysterio. I thought that was pretty cool. It went into the Women's Queen of the Ring qualifier. Stephanie Vaquer, Ivy Nile, Raquel Rodriguez, and Asuka's return. I think when you look at all of these Fatal 4-Ways, they all have one person who has to win. And 3 people who are there just to make sure it makes sense. Now, this one's a little different. You could see Vaquer possibly winning, but she was just in Money in the Bank. So I think this was the opportunity to have her interact a little bit with Asuka, and that way you could still give Asuka the win, which of course did happen, but you could also give an opportunity for Stephanie Vaquer. She just had that prime spot, and now give another opportunity to somebody else, and Vaquer could wait in the wings until her time comes up. So from there, we go into the Gunther part. I'm not going to rehash that. We covered that at the start of the show, but the one piece that I'll touch on with the Gunther coming out and doing his promo that leads to Goldberg making his return. I do love that Gunther was almost playing the babyface role, calling Seth Rollins out, telling him to come out. I'm right here. I do like the idea of the match, Seth and Gunther. Oddly, I actually see Gunther more as a babyface anyways. In the entirety of his run, most of the time when he's doing a promo, he just tells it like it is. You don't have to like what he says, but he's not lying to you. I kind of like that. I like Gunther. I think he's a great talent, obviously, but I also think his character, though he has some dastardly ways of doing things, is almost like being a babyface. Even though the fans don't react that way, that's the way I feel about his character. When he's calling Seth out, I was like, I actually got excited for that, because I'm sure maybe this Goldberg thing happens first, but at some point, Gunther and Seth are going to lock horns, and I'm really, really up for seeing that. Maybe Seth cashes in at Saturday night's main event to set up a rematch at SummerSlam. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot going on there in that World Championship picture. And again, back to Goldberg. He looked good. He sounded good. The fan reaction was amazing. I love that everybody loved hearing him come out so much. I love that he was so gracious. The first words out of his mouth were thank you. I don't think he takes for granted how people feel about him, his legacy, and what he's contributed. I don't think he would ever argue that he's the greatest catch-as-catch-can wrestler. But he definitely made an imprint, a very valuable one. It was a huge, huge part of wrestling history. And the fans don't forget. Wrestling fans, I'm not knocking any other sport, but wrestling fans have a long memory. And they care. They care to see their stars of yesteryear still come back and be able to contribute in some way to the business. And I think everything that he did was valuable. I really, really do. I thought the reaction when he got in his face and said, "You're next," I thought it was interesting. Because he could have said, "You're last." But he didn't. He said, "You're next," which we all know this is supposed to be a retirement thing. But that was what the Brock Lesnar match back 2016 was supposed to be. It was a one-time thing. Survivor Series and done. And the reaction, his ability the way he looked, the way he moved, all of it came off so well that they encouraged him to come back again and again and again. So I'm not saying that I expect anything to change, but he did say in the promo, he said, you started something a few months ago with my family in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm going to finish it in Atlanta, Georgia. Maybe he means his career, maybe he just means the Gunther issue. But the way he looked and sounded, I'm almost sad if this is the end of Goldberg. Now, I don't want him in the World Championship picture. I think he's past that. But I hate to say he's like Omos. He's an attraction. Omos is an attraction. Andre the Giant was an attraction. The Big Show should have been booked as an attraction. Somewhere there's an Inside the Ropes interview with Jim Ross who says how he begged Vince basically to make the Big Show a special attraction and not overexpose him, but he did. So that's what Goldberg should be. He doesn't need a belt. He doesn't need to be in a World Championship picture. He just needs to appear. Can you imagine on the retirement tour, Goldberg, John Cena? There's an interesting one. I'm just saying. Just want to put it out there. Let you think about it for a little bit. It would not be the most terrible thing, the 5 Moves of Doom versus the Jackhammer Spear guy. Just saying. From there, we went into AJ Styles, JD McDonough. What a worthless match. I understand it furthers the Intercontinental Championship storyline, but it's convoluting things too because you still have Finn involved there also. If we're going to do Finn and Dom at SummerSlam, then I guess the AJ thing is just filler for Crown Jewel. It's fine, but I kind of wanted to see AJ win it. That belt would look great on AJ, especially with the blue highlights now. But I don't know. I feel like this Judgment Day stuff is just taking forever. It's almost like the when they're trying to split up, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. How it takes forever. This Judgment Day split is taking forever too. I need them to get on with it. It's really boring the snot out of me at this point. We have Bayley come out next. She cuts her promo. Has her back and forth with Becky Lynch, who also comes out. I did like the slap into a punch at the end of the segment. I think, oddly, I hate to say this because I'm a huge fan of Bayley's. I think she's, when she joked about made a comment towards Michael Cole about being a future Hall of Famer, which I don't disagree with. But it's almost shocking to me that someone is a future Hall of Famer who I feel like still struggles great struggles with the microphone. She sounds too scripted to me. And I'm not knocking her. That's whoever creates the promos in the back to feed to her. But it sounds too scripted. And we're talking about, again, like a quote-unquote future Hall of Famer. You would think they would have developed the speaking element more, because she can do it. She's done it before when she was doing her talk show and all that kind of stuff. She can clearly talk. Whoever wrote this promo, not doing her any favors. From there, we get into the weird part of the night. Liv Morgan comes back out. Now she has her match with Kairi Sane. They literally lock up, go into a wrist lock takedown, and she hits the mat, and her shoulder was not having it. It looks like it was a legitimate injury. There are reports out today. I saw one by the Wrestling Observer, one by, Wrestling News Source, that they believe that she has a dislocated shoulder that could theoretically keep her out of action for up to 16 weeks. That would be terrible, especially with Evolution 2 right around the corner and her already being kind of interwoven into an important storyline with that. Hopefully it's not so serious and she can come back sooner. They're not going to write her off TV for like some outside project. It was nothing like that. This is a legit injury. Win to Kairi Sane. Think about that for a minute. Kairi Sane was complaining a couple weeks ago how she never gets a win. Now she's had multiple wins and she just beat Liv Morgan. I understand, not in the way that you kind of thought it was going to happen, but nonetheless, Kairi Sane has a documented win over Liv Morgan. That is pretty cool to me. We go into the last match, the main event. Jey Uso versus Rusev versus Sheamus versus Bronson Reed. King of the Ring qualifier match. Going into this, if you look at those 4 guys, the only 2 that I thought had a legitimate chance to win were Uso and Rusev. Rusev because he's back and new and over, big with the crowd. Uso because he's Uso. Sheamus had no chance because the winner was going to face Cody Rhodes. I could see Rusev Cody. I could see Jey and Cody. I can't see Sheamus and Cody or Bronson Reed and Cody. I just can't see that. I could have seen Bronson if there wasn't so much outside interference during all the other Fatal 4-Ways. So you already knew that was going to happen. This match was really solid. The action was solid. A lot of heavy hits going down. It really was a slobber knocker, to use a Jim Ross-ism. At one point, when Bronson Reed crashed into the barricade outside, I actually thought he might have given himself a freaking concussion. You see the look on the referee's face as he runs out to check on him at one point, thinking like there must have been something wrong with him too, the way he was sitting there. I love like the tsunamis, the Samoan drops, the all that kind of stuff. It was a really, really good physical match. Jey Uso picking up the win. And I gotta say, one of the things that kind of bothers me, I get it, but it bothers me, is almost every single one of the men's qualifiers has had outside interference. The King of the Ring tournament, going all the way back to Don Morocco and Harley Race and Junkyard Dog and you name it, all the way through to the Bret Harts, to the Sheamuses, to the William Regals. The matches were matches. Did people ever cheat to win? Yes, of course. But not with all this outside interference. It takes away from the legitimacy and the legacy of the King of the Ring to have all of these outside interference matches. I love it because it got Jey to win, and Jey needed to win, but not loving all the interference in all the matches. I feel like it has really taken away from the tournament. Men's and women's. Just let the people wrestle. Let somebody come up with a win. We act like nowadays that just because somebody picks up a loss, it somehow tarnishes their entire legacy. That's ridiculous. Why go back to the Wrestling Classic, the one that the Junkyard Dog won the tournament in. You know, he beats Randy Savage in the final. It didn't destroy Randy Savage. Randy Savage went on an Intercontinental Championship run within weeks, beating Tito Santana and running for a year almost with the belt. Like it didn't take away from Randy Savage. If anything, it enhanced Randy Savage. Earlier matches in that tournament, they didn't destroy people. They made people, even if they lost. What happened to the art form of creating talent without always having to have a win? And let some people win for a change, for God's sake. This is a little ridiculous to me. Everything had to have interference, but it is what it is. Now, at the end of the show, I thought what was really interesting was Seth Rollins' music hits. He makes his way out. Everybody else is laid out. Jey Uso's standing in the ring. It's obvious he's going after Jey. And then Cody's music hits. And Cody slides into the ring. And he and Seth have an interesting past. You know, even if you go all the way back to the early Shield stuff versus the Rhodes Brothers for the Tag Team Championship, that's cool. You go to his return at WrestleMania 38. He and Seth having that classic. Then going to Hell in Cell with the torn pec. You go to the Royal Rumble, where Cody comes back and ends up winning the Rumble, going to WrestleMania 39. Then you see WrestleMania 40, the lead up to it, where it was going to be Punk and Seth for the World Championship, and because of Punk's injury, Seth gets into a program with Cody and becomes basically his shield during this program, having a tag team match with Roman and The Rock, and then coming to his aid the next night when his Avengers Unite moment takes place at WrestleMania 40. There's been so much with Cody and Seth that when he slid into the ring last night and they're looking at each other face to face, eye to eye, you almost had to wonder, you had to think in the back of your head, could Cody turn right now? The way they were looking at each other, could Cody have turned, joined Seth, and attacked Jey? Because it almost looked that way for a second. I'm not going to lie. As I was watching it, I was like, oh my, could this really happen? And I was thinking real quick in my head, I'm like, gosh, how would they do that? Because there has to be a leader of the faction. Cody's not going to be subordinate to Seth, and Seth's not going to be subordinate to Cody. And coexistence never works. I was like, they can't really do this. And then, of course, you have Seth leave, so we know that's not going to happen right now. Of course, we do have Cody next week against Jey. What if Seth comes out and helps Cody win? Does that mess with Cody? Somewhere along the line, I don't want it, but I think we're going to get a Cody heel turn. We'll have to wait and see when that happens. We're also probably going to see a John Cena turn back to being a babyface at some point. Maybe that's why. Cody and Cena, maybe that's how they get the belt off of Cena. With a double flip again, and now Cody's a bad guy. I don't know. But this was interesting. And then, of course, Jey and Cody shaking hands because they will face each other in the tournament next week, in the next round. Interesting pairings. I don't hate any of it. I think it'll be interesting to see two really hardcore, not just baby faces, but like faces of the company baby faces go in it and go at it and see how those things turn out. The other side of the bracket, Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn. I expect Sami Zayn to lose to Randy Orton. I expect Cody to win. I'm going to see Cody versus Randy Orton at Crown Jewel. I think that's rushing it. I'd rather wait for that to be for a championship at a major PLE, but WWE and TKO seem to be pushing these things faster than they need to, so I have to wait and see how that happens. Got to wrap up a few other things real quick. Braun Strowman, former WWE superstar, will be at a charity golf tournament. Oddly enough, appearing with at the same tournament, the 2025 Bush Family Classic Charity Golf Tournament in Maine. He'll be there playing alongside people like former U.S. President George W. Bush and several other people. They do a fundraiser for Gary's House, a program through Northern Light Mercy Hospital. So if you're in that area, feel free to pop out, say hi to Braun, and support the cause. Karrion Kross, in the news this week for a couple of reasons. One, still no word on a contract conversation. He put a post out on social media complaining about not being in Money in the Bank or in the King of the Ring tournaments. We saw the bit on Raw where he's going to, at some point, have a match with Sami Zayn. That should have happened months ago. But he also put out a conversational piece about how he really wants Moxley to come back to WWE so the two of them can have a program. They had a brief encounter at a show when Moxley had first left at Future Stars of Wrestling Natural Born Killers that took place right after Moxley left WWE. He's hoping he comes back to WWE so they can, run it back. But how do you do that if you don't have a contract? So either he's optimistic he'll get one, or he knows if he doesn't get one, he can always go to AEW and possibly have that. Speaking of AEW, Jamie Hayter in the news. She is injured once again. That poor thing cannot seem to stay healthy. Gone for over a year with her last injury. Now out again ever since the match with Mercedes Moné. The attack by Tekla was probably supposed to be a little different, but because of her physical condition, had to be short and awkward. Speedy recovery, hopefully for her. Over the weekend, the big news: AAA had their Triple Mania card. Vikingo retained the AAA championship over Alberto Del Rio or Alberto El Patron. I actually thought they were going to flip the title back to him. To me, the biggest news coming out of that show was the AAA Tag Team Championship going to WWE Superstars rather than, which I thought was interesting, is you had the TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Nemeths, in there. If you watch the show, which by the way is available free on YouTube, to see TNA Tag Team Champions, the AAA Tag Team Champions, Pagano and Psycho Clown, who are amazing. At the end of the match sees Humberto and I always forget the other guy's name, Garza. They're on the outside of the ring. You see Pagano and Psycho Clown dive over the ropes and take out one of the other teams, leaving in the ring somebody who's been taken out, and then the other two get in and they may pick up the pin and win the Tag Team Championship. So the AAA Tag Team title is currently being held by a WWE main roster tag team. Very strange to me. We are living in strange times, but it just shows you how WWE's fingerprints are all over AAA's product from here on forward. And Carlito, now that he is officially a free agent, he can work wherever he wants. Won the WWC Puerto Rican Championship and his dad's promotion only a day before he announced he was leaving WWE. But he was in an interview with Busted Open Radio explaining that all the comedic aspects of his character in his most recent WWE run were his. He said he created that, and they allowed him to do that. They gave him the creative control, and he got a lot of support to do that, which is a tribute to Triple H's style. Triple H has been much more open to creative input from the talent, which is great for them because it gives them an opportunity to showcase those other sides of them. If creative's not coming up with stuff for them, they got to come up with something for themselves. And I think he did a great job. I thought he was very entertaining this last run. And now it's just a matter of time waiting to see what he does next. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we'll run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always to Suno AI for creating the music and sound effects we use in the show. Today's show is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bring a new friend to family game night. It's easy with the game Sketchy People. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to thegamecrafter.com and picking up your copy today. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college or university life, maybe you just need some formal training. Looking for a new career? Go to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you so much for taking some time with us today. Until next time, take care. Have a good night.
Crossing the